Well, I want to welcome everybody today to the Entrepreneur Show. My name is Heidi Richards Moody, and I am once again delighted to be here to be your host and to host another fabulous woman, another fabulous entrepreneur. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Her name is JeannieSpiro. Known for her insightful, authentic, and engaging approach, Jeannie is a top-notch speaker, sales strategist, and business coach. She teaches coaches, consultants, and service-based entrepreneurs how to deliver an engaging signature talk, close sales conversations without feeling pushy, and generate consistent revenue. Having earned 6 figures in just 12 months as a result of speaking and selling her coaching programs, Jeannie is passionate about sharing her proven formula with others so that they too can build equally fulfilling and lucrative lifestyle businesses. Today, Jeannie is going to share her insights in speaking your way to more profits. Welcome, Jeannie.
Great. Thank you so much, Heidi. And just everyone doesn't get my name right, but I just want to make sure everyone knows my last name is Spiro. So a lot of people say, how do you pronounce it? So I have one of those names where everyone gets the first and the last name off. So as a speaker, one of the things, and I'm going to give a tip to people who are listening, one of the things that I started doing early on was I automatically reintroduce myself. And so I think it's really a great thing for people to do when they take the stage. Introduce yourself no matter what. So I'm happy to be here, Heidi. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. And thank you for correcting me because it's spelled differently than it sounds. So that's, and I usually ask the question, how to pronounce the name. However, since we got started a little late, I just forgot. So
not a problem.
Thank you. So tell us about your background, Jeannie, and how you discovered the power of speaking to promote your business.
Well, so it actually started way back when I went to school. I went to school for speech communication originally, and then I became a tour guide because I needed to get some experience public speaking. And so I took a job as a tour guide in Newport, Rhode Island at the Breakers and the Marble House, the mansions there. And I loved it. I fell in love with it. And basically what I didn't realize until much later was I was learning how to sell from the stage, and I was selling the mansion, but basically commanding a group of 50 people at a time going through for a 45-minute tour. And I loved it. And I started doing it in my corporate life. And the more I did it on platforms and stages when I was working, the more I thought, oh, I really love this platform. I love being able to speak in front of people. And then I naturally climbed up the ladder and started in sales positions and started working in a lot of sales jobs. And I was speaking in front of large communities a lot. And it just made me realize that when I became an entrepreneur, that it was such a powerful vehicle to get your message out there. And what happened to me was 6 months after I quit my job to do this full time, I realized I didn't have a good solid marketing plan or business plan, and I didn't have enough clients. So the thing I started doing immediately was speaking, and I just shifted my business really quickly because I created a signature talk and I used it over and over and over again. And within about 12 months, I was able to grow a 6-figure business. And the primary reason was because I focused on speaking as my marketing strategy.
So you mentioned, and by the way, great tips, and I love that very first tip about reintroducing yourself. So let's talk two things. What are the benefits of speaking to promote your business? And then tell us a little bit more about what is a signature talk and why it's important to have one.
Sure. So the first one about the benefits. If you think about it this way, how can you reach a lot of people at one time, right? You gather them in one place. So if someone gathers them for you, so you walk into, let's say, a networking group and you have an opportunity to speak in front of a networking group, they're already gathered there together for a purpose, right? So someone's done the work, you show up, you present your information, and they know more about you. So number one, it's really leveraged. Number two, it's a great way for people to get another dimension of you. So I love the written word, but there's nothing that compares to being able to see someone live. And they say the highest conversions for your sales actually happen live. So live, like in person. Second would be video. So like this is perfect because again, they can see you, they can hear you, they can sense you. And then the last one would be written. So I immediately jumped right over most of these things because I'm a better communicator as a speaker than I am as a writer. So that's a tremendous benefit. If you're already more comfortable speaking, you can use this to leverage your voice. The other thing that's really great is it's a wonderful way to share your message. Whatever it is that you do in your business, it's an easy way to get people to hook into your message, whatever it is that you believe that they can see that they can benefit from. So there's just some basic things benefit-wise. Another thing that the signature talk, you asked me that question as well. So with the signature talk, what that really is basically your presentation that you use, and it connects back to you being able to present an offer. So a signature talk is something around your system, your process, what you know or do. And it's a matter of you being able to take this tool and what I like to say is like repurpose it in multiple different ways. You can take that talk and really use it like on a platform, speaking to a lot of people live. You can use it on a webinar, teleseminar, or even like what we're doing today in an interview. So I'm taking excerpts from my signature talk to speak to you today. So signature talk is just really a tool. It's your marketing tool, and it's basically connected back to what it is that you know you do that solves the problem that someone else has.
So is a signature talk typically always the same, or is it a new talk each time? And then how would someone develop a signature talk? I mean, especially if they're going to have to change it all the time.
So the beautiful thing is you don't have to necessarily change your talk. I like to have 2 different talks typically going at a time. So I have one talk that's basically about speaking your way to more clients. I have another talk that talks about how specifically to design your signature talk. So it goes a little bit deeper into it, because that's the one question I get asked all the time. How do I design a talk? The other one is, how do you grow your business through speaking? So those are my 2 core signature talks. It's what I'm known for. It's what I want people to know me for. And the thing that's also really great is that when you have your signature talks, you tell people what you want to be speaking about, as opposed to being asked to speak on a subject. And I think a lot of people get tripped up on this, especially in the beginning, like, oh, sure, I'd love to talk. What do you want me to talk about? No, you want to talk about what it is that you know and do best, that you want your audience to hear. And so that signature talk, you can develop just one, and then ultimately you can create another. And the formula that I teach, you can actually create several different talks over the course of the year for webinars, teleseminars, whatever it might be. So, but always start with one.
Always start with one. You know, I had another question there. I'll get back to that. So let's go back a little bit. Tell us about that first time you spoke in public, not counting to promote your business, not when you were doing the tour guides, and how it impacted you personally as well as your business.
So I've done multiple types of speaking, and I'll tell you the first teleseminar I did, because I consider that one of the first times I used my signature talk, and then the first time I did it live. So the first time I did it as a teleseminar, it was a complete disaster. I couldn't get the technology right. I don't think anybody heard me. We didn't start the recording, but I just kept going, because that's what you do. It's like when you get on stage and you start to perform, you just keep going. And what I did was, because the presentation didn't go as well as it should have, after I had people who said, I want to sign up and get the replay. So after, what I did was I hopped on, I recorded the presentation all over again when I was calm, cool, collected, and I sent out the replay. So that's the beauty of being able to know your talk that well that you can do it again. Doing it live, I have had so much practice speaking live that the first time that I got up and delivered my first signature talk was to a group of entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, and it was a group of 30 people. And I was just conversational, happy to do it. It was easy. I think I ended up with 3 or 4 clients that came from that one speaking engagement, which was really wonderful. And it was just natural. So it felt really comfortable. But the key was that I was prepared in advance. I knew my topic. I knew what they needed to hear. I engaged them the entire time, and I stayed in my genius zone, which is basically staying as I am, just true to who I am.
I love that, your genius zone. So let's talk about the elements that you go into creating a signature talk.
Mm-hmm. So there's multiple parts to it. So one of the things that you have to look at before you start any kind of signature talk is you have to be really clear about who you're speaking to. So again, in all marketing, you have to know your ideal client. So as soon as you know your ideal clients, then you know what their problem is, and then you know how you're going to solve it. So the signature talk needs to be designed around addressing their problem and showing them in your talk your solution. So the very first thing is being clear on the ideal client, their problem, and then the solution that you provide. So that's number one. Number two, then, is you need to make sure that you have an offer that's in alignment with what it is that you're talking about. So you can't be talking about one thing and then come out of the blue and offer something completely different, right? It's got to be totally in alignment. So for example, when I'm talking about how to design a signature talk, I will make an offer that allows them to take a step further to design their signature talk and grow their business through speaking. So it's completely in aligned. So you want to make sure you have those two things in advance. Then once you go ahead and actually design the talk, so components of the talk, I'll just cover a couple of them. The idea behind the talk is that you want to create like, know, and trust. So you do that in a variety of ways. One is through your introduction and your credibility statement, and I'll explain that in a second. The second is through your story. The third is through your message. Okay, so those three things are really key. So the introduction and credibility statement is, I typically will introduce myself like this. Hi, I'm JeannieSpiro. I'm the founder of JeannieSpiro.com and ClientConvertingTalks.com. I took my six-figure business. I took my business to six figures. It was failing business to six figures in 12 months. And I did that through the power of speaking. And I'm here today to talk about that. So that's my introduction and credibility statement, because it basically states that I know where you are and I've done it. My message is really all about this. And I'm going to tell you my message right now. It's about why I believe speaking is so important for your business and why all entrepreneurs need to use it, especially if they want to start attracting clients. It's basically rooted in my story, which I'll talk about in a moment, or I talked a little bit about already. But the message is basically this, that when you have your signature talk and you know how to use it and you go out there and start speaking, you can attract clients quickly in a very leveraged way. And you already have done most of the legwork on the sales process because they already like, know, and trust you. So you can actually reduce a significant amount of your marketing if you start speaking, and it makes everything so much more streamlined. And then the story is the next piece that I think is really important in the signature talk. I went into mine a little bit, but after I quit my job, 6 months later, I was like, I don't have a business plan. I don't have a marketing strategy. I don't know what I'm doing to get clients. And I had to figure out how to do it. So that's my story. And those components, it almost doesn't even matter what your content is. It's those components hook someone to you right away if they like, know, and trust you. And that's so powerful. You can command any stage. You can almost say like nothing, and they still are like, how do I work with you? Which has actually happened before. I've done 5-minute presentations, and people, you have to just encapsulate everything into 5 minutes. And I've been able to have people sign up to come to my live events, to work with me one-on-one and have conversations. So it's very powerful, as you know, with Blab, clearly, right?
Yes, exactly. Wow. And you know what? You're right. There's just so much that goes into it, but I think we overthink it a lot of times. So I think boiling it down to those main things and keeping to that and understanding that everything needs to be in alignment is very important. I want to welcome Wanda, and I want to welcome Deb and Be More. It looks like Be More just joined us, so thank you. I'm real excited that we have so many great people on the line while we're having this wonderful conversation. We're talking to Jeannie Spiro, and we're talking about speaking your way to more profits. So Jeannie, my next question is, I want to go back a bit. This was the question I forgot to ask you before, was about you mentioned about when someone wants you to come and speak, and you speak about what you know. And I know I've gotten asked to speak a lot of times, and people will say, well, can you talk about this? Well, and I tell them, this is my 3 talks. And here's what I talk about. So talk a little bit about that, talking about what you know, because I know I'm in the speaking industry, and I know a lot of people in the speaking industry will tell you they can talk about anything. Well, sure you can, but does it build your business? Does it build credibility? So how important is the talking about what you know and adding to that whole?
Great question. Great question. So, I think the thing is, and you know this because in the speaking industry, people are very excited to get an opportunity to be in front of an audience, right? And so they'll take that opportunity. But for the business side of it, so the way I work with speaking in business, especially for coaches and consultants, is that I'm using this as a marketing strategy to help them get clients. So it's really got to be aligned. As I mentioned before, it's got to be aligned. So you can take any speaking opportunity that you want to take, but as long as you can tie it back to what it is that you do and what it is that you know, you can almost turn any speaking opportunity and flip it around to make it worthwhile for you, right? So I could talk about productivity all day long in business, but I don't love to talk about productivity. But if someone asked me to speak to a group of productivity experts about how to use speaking to attract clients, you bet it, I'm going to take that opportunity. So I think that's a better use of my time to do that than to take an opportunity and revamp a whole talk, something I might not necessarily use again, and that I don't want to be known for. Because you want to be known for what it is that you're talking about, right? So your 3 talks, if you go out there and you use your 3 talks, people are going to say, Heidi, can I talk to you about you speaking to my audience about that subject, right? So you're driving the bus. Right. And that's, I think, what's most important is that you still control it and say no sometimes if you have to.
Yeah. And I totally agree with you. So let's talk about how we can leverage the opportunity to speak. So in other words, what should we be doing before the speech, during the speech, and after the speech is over?
Mm-hmm. So before the speech is you really want to take time to craft the presentation. And so I talked a little bit about some of the components of it for the like, know, and trust part. But also included in the talk really needs to be the content. It's really important that you have developed content that your subject matter, right? It's something that is valuable information. And a lot of people will say, oh, I don't know, I don't want to give everything away. I don't want to I won't have anything to sell. That's not even true in the least. You have so much to offer. And I think it happens with newer entrepreneurs. They don't really feel comfortable. So they think, oh, if I tell them that, then they won't buy from me. It's really making sure that before you go out and deliver this talk, that you deliver a well-designed presentation that's high value and high content. So that's number 1. Number 2 is, back when I was speaking and I was working at the Breakers in the Marble House, I was given scripts to memorize. And it was all about historical information. It was about the family. It was dates. It was all sorts of different information, interior decorating, the whole thing. And all things that were completely not in my wheelhouse. History was, actually. And so I had to learn this 27-page script. And this is back in the day of a cassette tape, and you put your cassette tape in the car. So I recorded it of myself, and I put it in the car, and I drove around listening to myself because I couldn't get out there and do my job until I was approved, basically. I had to be approved by the Preservation Society, and then I can go out and start speaking. So I had to memorize it. And what I learned from that point was the easiest way to memorize a presentation. And remember, that's a 45-minute presentation with a lot of details. So I found some memorization tactics that helped me. And one of them was I used a 5x7 card, and I basically wrote down the key features, like the subjects of my talk, which I do today. So I'll say intro, message, story. So basically, they're the triggers for me. So if I don't have a slide presentation, I will create that in advance. So I'll have that little note card. And oftentimes, I actually don't even use the note cards because I know it so well. I talk about it all the time. And that's another benefit to having a signature talk that you just do it all the time, and you can do it without any props. And then during the presentation, one of the things that I like to do is really make sure that I'm connecting with the audience. So you want to create as much engagement as possible. And you can do that in the form of questions. You can do that in the form of like connecting with your eyes. You can walk around the room and open up. And so I use, again, I studied nonverbal and verbal communication. And so I like to use nonverbal communications as well when I'm speaking. So it's really leaning into your audience and then having them lean into you. So by you basically using some nonverbal skills, you're getting them to get on the edge of their seat and moving around the room. So there's little things. Also using your voice properly, projecting properly, and really sounding interesting and making it about them, not about you as much. Once you're done with your story and your message, you're delivering content for them. And then after the presentation, the way that I like to do this is you want to look at what your offer is. So for right now, because I have an event coming up, when I do a presentation, it would be offering an opportunity to come to my event. So that would be the offer. But sometimes it's not that, it's making an offer to work with me one-on-one. Right? So you want to make sure that whatever you're doing, whatever that offer is you have a call to action and you follow through on that call to action, right? So, here's an application to complete to have a conversation with me. And then, or here's, program, or here's a live event or whatever it might be to take the step further. And then you continue that from there. So I hope that wasn't too much information.
No, actually, I think it was fabulous. And I think that there's always one area people get stuck on, and especially when they're new at speaking or speaking to promote their business. Because I think this is really what we're talking about. We're not talking about the speaking industry per se. I just use that as an example. We're really talking about entrepreneurs who want to promote their business. And this is a wonderful way to leverage that knowledge you have in a way that perhaps your competitors are not.
That's right, exactly.
Which is great because you're out there and they may or may not be. So let's talk about the top 3 things that people need to know before they deliver a speech.
So the first thing I think that's important for them to know is, are they speaking to the right audience? Are they speaking to an audience that is actually there for them on wanting to hear about their topic, right? So you've got to make sure you confirm that in advance, okay? You also really want to make sure before you speak is, oh, actually, did I go off? It's before you speak, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Before you speak. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was looking at Wanda's made a comment, so I was typing back an answer to her while you were speaking.
No, that's okay. Not at all.
You gotta be, I'm very bad at multitasking, so
that's okay.
No, I promise.
That's okay. So Wanda and Deb are wonderful. They're wonderful people who I've known for a long time, and they've done presentations with me, and they're fabulous. So thank you for being here, both of you, and everybody else who's listening. So before you speak, a couple things. One thing is also a presentation thing you have to think about is really making sure that you don't have any cheese or any dairy. So for your voice content, and the quality of your voice, you really want to make sure that you have a clean presentation. So I really make sure I avoid any kind of dairy before I speak. Another one I mentioned was the preparation of memorizing your presentation if you can. And then of course, confirming that the audience that you're speaking to is in fact the audience that your topic is really meant to be speaking or to talk to.
Great points. And I like the point about the dairy. That's something I hadn't heard anybody really say before, but it's very important. And I use the 3x5 cards and do exactly what you do. And I have for years, and I'm a Toastmaster graduate and all of that. I'm just an advanced Toastmaster, not a DTM, but I was in Toastmasters for some 10 years and really enjoyed it, and it helped a lot. But I still like to have those little notes. It's funny, I bring them with me and I have them. They're more of a security blanket than anything. I haven't used them in years, but I still have them for every single speech because I think if I didn't, I'd get lost. I don't know why.
I know. It's
forget where I was.
I actually really like Toastmasters because it's like how do I explain it properly? Like in college, I had a lot of public speaking experience, right? But the average entrepreneur doesn't necessarily have a lot of public speaking experience. And then they're out there expected to do a presentation. Toastmasters is wonderful for practicing your skills. And so I have a lot of clients that go out there and practice their speaking in that kind of venue. And then they come back to me and say, okay, teach me how to sell now. Now I got the format down. How do I sell from the stage? So that's the part that I really get excited about, because some of my clients will go out there and do a really great presentation. I don't know about this for you. Like, everyone was applauding and saying, this is a great presentation, Heidi. But then you wouldn't necessarily have anybody, take the next step with you.
Right.
And that's part of the sales process.
Exactly. Yeah, you can be entertaining, but if you don't have a purpose, then you're just, see you later. Then you might as well be on a stage somewhere in a nightclub. So I agree with you. Jeannie, who is your target audience, and how do they find out about your programs?
So I mostly work with women coaches, consultants, and service-based business owners, and they're typically corporate dropouts.
I love that term.
Because that's who I am. And this is a second career, or this is a second time around for them. So usually they've started their business and they're finding that I'm not getting the traction that I want to. I'm doing a lot of marketing. It's not going as fast as I'd like. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And so the very first thing that I teach them is how to design their signature talk and get out there and start speaking to attract clients. So it gives them and empowers them immediately. I also work with women entrepreneurs who are a little bit more advanced in their business, and now they're looking to step out on bigger stages, want to start hosting events, 1 day, 3 day workshops, that kind of thing, and use that as a tool to also attract and convert more clients. And then I work with people who are doing webinars and are looking to possibly get out there and host their first or next webinar, or they've done a webinar and the webinar isn't converting, and they're wondering, well, I did this beautiful presentation, the slides are really gorgeous, but why didn't anybody buy? So I jump in and actually work on the conversion pieces. So not just the design of, all the speaking, but also like, how do you convert? And then how do you turn this into a business and start making money? Because that's what we're here for, right? Exactly. So, and how do they find out about my programs? Well, I have an event every year. It's called talkandprofit.com. So it's Talk and Profit Live. And a lot of people come to my event, and I talk about speaking on day 1, selling on day 2, and day 3, basically how you're going to grow your business and monetize that. So that's at talkandprofit.com. And then also people know about me at JeannieSpiro.com. And I have a variety of services and coaching programs that I work with people one-on-one and or in my group coaching program, which is called the Expansion Coaching Club. And I teach them, again, in a year-long program, how to develop their business and attract clients and start selling, not only in the, from the stage, but also their sales conversations.
Excellent. But see, what I love is how you defined your audience so well and so succinctly. And so if anybody gets nothing else out of this, I'm sure they'll get a lot out of it, because there's so many great tips in this whole interview. Knowing who your audience is, as you mentioned very early on, the very first thing you have to do. You can't even design a program if you don't know who your audience is. And I have made the mistake of speaking to people that were not my audience. So I'm sure that everybody does that at one point or other. And I just look at it as a learning opportunity that I got to practice my program, because they're not the people who are going to buy. They're not my target audience. So, it's okay to do that. Or would you say it's okay to do that even if they're not your target audience? I mean, people need experience, obviously.
Sure. Practice is practice, and I think it's really great. A lot of my clients, what they do is I will teach them how to design in my program that I have, it's called Client Converting Talks. What I do is I teach them, number 1, get clear on your ideal client. Number 2, get clear on your offer. Number 3, design your talk. Number 4, how to go out and find speaking opportunities and then deliver your talk. And number 5, how to close those opportunities. And so when you're using that kind of a format, it virtually guarantees that where you're speaking to the right people all the time. So I'm more of an advocate of keeping your business simple, creating a lifestyle business. And I try as hard as I can not to waste my time, in the sense of, like, I don't mind experimenting, because what I learn, I actually teach my clients from my experiences. But I try not to have my clients do too much experimentation that's going to take a lot of time, that's going to take away from them earning money. So, like, I teach, okay, this webinar format really works. You're going to start doing that, okay? Even though, there's all these invariables, right, with everything that they do. we do. So they still can vary it and then figure out what works, but I can give them the shell of what to do. And I believe it's the same with speaking. It's great to have practice, but practice in front of Toastmasters or practice at your local networking events. But as soon as you start to get opportunities in front of people who are your ideal client, have a great talk and go out and use that, and you'll close the room. So I see it happen on a daily basis now, so it's really cool.
That is so great. I know that when I speak to the right audience, I get a much higher conversion rate than when I don't. I'm usually selling something. I'm always selling something, even if it's coaching. And typically a really good talk for me is 30% of the room. And so 10% is average when the group is not ideal for me. And it has happened because, you know, it's funny. People are like, oh, but you have to, and sometimes it's even a client who asked me to come and speak to their group. You know, I had a group, wedding professionals, great people. But after being there, I realized they were all corporate wedding professionals, never going to hire me because they have a totally different mindset and their needs are different than an entrepreneur's needs. And, you know, so I made some great friends. But I did end up selling about, I don't know, I would say 15% of the room. And they still my social media program. So it was just funny. But I thought, gosh, I'm thinking to myself the whole time I'm there, nobody's going to buy this. They don't need it. It's just that I was defining them that they didn't need it. And some of them said, you know, I have another business on the side. And those are the ones that ended up buying the program. It was funny.
Heidi, you made such a great point on that, because we go into this with these thoughts and we're thinking, oh, well, there's no opportunity here. And you know what? I actually think you're more relaxed. You're probably like, doesn't matter as much. Like, I'm just here to do this. And you probably developed a really great presentation or delivered a really great presentation. They're like, she's awesome. I want this program. So that's great.
True. It's true. I think you're absolutely right. Let's talk about running a business. What's a typical day like for Jeannie?
So I have a family, and I work from home, obviously, and I have a crazy, crazy puppy that we got last year, who my clients who are here will know. So every day is actually designed for me around being able to do several things. One is to make sure that I'm there for my family and there for my clients, and then focused on the actions that I need to do to move my business forward. So a typical day really looks like 3 days a week I do coaching. So coaching sessions with clients. I always leave a little bit of time out for opportunities like this and interviews, which are wonderful and I love doing. And then I also make sure I have time for my, developing my business forward, and then marketing efforts. And then I have a team now, so I'm doing a lot of work with my team and directing. I used to run a sales team of about 10 people. And so for me, I'm really comfortable at the head of the team. So I can say, this is what you need to do, and this is what needs to get done today, and this is how we need to move it forward. So every day is a little bit different, but Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are very much the same. Mondays and Fridays every week are typically the same. And that I'm very focused on what I need to get done. And I really block and chunk my time, and that helps a lot.
That's good and great advice. What books are you currently reading, or would you recommend?
So I'm reading this book. It's called Traction. It was recommended. I don't know if it's backwards, but it's Get a Grip on Your Business. So it's a really good book, and I just jumped into it, and I have to say I'm really excited about it. And the back, it says, do you have a grip on your business, or does your business have a grip on you? It's like, oh, which do you have? Which do you want? I don't want my business to be like holding on to me for dear life. I want to make sure that I've got a grip on my business. So I'm excited to read it. And I am also, dare I say, I'm reading, my beach read is Nicholas Sparks' book, so Safe Haven. So
we need that. You need that to like take your mind off of things, I think. I used to read a lot of Danielle Steele. Haven't read it in years because I don't know why. I think I need to get back to it. But yeah, I agree.
Well, I used to make fun of my husband because he would read Mary Higgins Clark books.
Oh, I love it.
And I'd be like, I'm reading this really serious business book and you're over there. Oh, this is a good one this time, you know. But I have to tell you, I don't know about you, we go to the beach now and I bring all my work and all my books and my traction book. And every time I open it up, it's like, I'm just going to read another Nicholas Sparks book today.
Well, the beach is not the best place to read business books. I get so distracted at the beach. I cannot read a business book at the beach. I've tried. I bring magazines and I'll read half an article or rip something out. And I end up not reading it. So
yes,
so
exactly.
You mentioned you go to the beach often. So where are you? What part of the world are you in?
Yeah, we're in Rhode Island. So just outside of Newport. Yeah. Well, how about you?
My mother was born in Pawtucket, but I have not been there since I was 6 years old, so many years. But I'll have to go there. Now I have another friend in Rhode Island.
Oh, that's really great. Yeah.
We don't so it's probably close.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. What's your favorite smartphone app or online tool, Jeannie?
Oh my gosh. So my favorite new tool, actually I have a ton of them, but I would say my favorite one on my phone has to be, I just started using Slack, S-L-A-C-K, and I'm also using it for my business on my computer. And it's a way to communicate with your team. So I don't know if you have it, but it's really cool.
Yeah, I've heard of it, and I actually have seen it. I think you can also get it online too, Slack.
Yeah, you can. So I can use it on my computer. And that, I guess, so my mentors recommended it, and one of the things that they were saying is the idea behind it is that you would eliminate the back and forth communication between your, like, let's say your team or your staff. So you just have this, you know, it's just like direct messaging. But I love that, so it makes it easier.
It's a little different than Patio, which is what I've used for years for teamwork. But I think I'm going to check it out again because you're not the first person who's recommended it. So I think something in the universe is telling me I need to look into it. What one thing would you like to share with our audience that we haven't yet discussed?
You know, I think the thing that I really struggled with in the beginning is feeling a little nervous about the uncertainty of business growth and feeling like maybe it's better and easier to go back and get a job because there's certainty in that. And especially when you're first in business or you're feeling like it's on shaky ground, I think what happens is we feel like it's just easier to go back. And so in some cases, I think it is easier. But there's so many benefits to having your own business and to being an entrepreneur, and you do your own personal development as you grow your business.
Right.
So I can't think of a better way to develop yourself as a person than having your own business and being okay with the ups and downs of it as you're navigating the flow the first few years. It's not easy. It's not fun. And the best thing you can do is be surrounded by people who are going to be there and lift you up. You know, in whatever way that might mean to you. So make sure you find people who get you, really.
Great advice. One of the first things first bit of advice a coach gave me when I first started in business is to surround yourself with people smarter than you. And I think that I do that in business and in life in general. I think that helps me to always feel like I can learn something new. And it's helped my business tremendously. I hire people who know what I don't know. Then I learn it, or I don't, depending on, you know, if I want to or not. But it's just so, and also when you get in business a while, you can start hiring people to do the work that you know how to do, but you don't like to do.
Yes.
Like math. Anything with math, I don't want to do it. I did books for so many years. It's like, oh my gosh, thank you, God, I don't have to do books.
Oh yeah. Isn't that funny what we did forever? We're like, I don't want to deal with that anymore.
And I was so good at it. I trained everybody how to do it. And then I said, oh, thank goodness. I do not have to do this anymore. I have the most awesome manager and she does all that. And I'm thinking, oh, I don't know. Gina, if you're listening, Gina, her name is Gina. If you're listening, Gina, I love you. She does remember. She's been with me for 8 years, so.
Oh, that's great. Well, I was going to say, I think we're in your excellence zone, right? You know that Gay Hendricks book, The Big Leap? Like all of us work in our excellence zone for a really long time and we're so good at it. But then everything shifts once you start working in your genius zone. It's like, oh, why wasn't I doing this all along?
Exactly.
Oh, so much
Excellent
better.
zone and genius zone. Love it. Love it. What's next for Jeannie?
So the big thing, well, first of all, actually a couple things. The first thing is that I'm hosting my event, and I'm really excited about that. And this is going to be the best one we've ever had because we have really great panelists and sponsors, and I'm just thrilled. I can't wait to get back on stage. And I feel like as much as I love working from home, I love being out behind my computer. So I'm looking to do more speaking opportunities and speaking around the country. And so I have several things booked over the course of this coming year. So that's really fun. My husband and I are celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary. And so that I feel like is a huge accomplishment. And I'm taking a little time off to celebrate that. And part of what we're hoping to do in 2017 is I've created my business around being able to take a trip abroad for several weeks so that we're able to enjoy that really exciting time.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Well, congratulations on all the wonderful upcoming things. What's the name of your program? Is in it? I understand it's in Rhode Island in October.
Yeah, so it's talkandprofit.com.
Talkandprofit.com. So
yes.
And is it open to the public?
It is, yes. It's a live event for coaches and consultants, service-based business owners. Mm-hmm.
So what's the best way to contact or connect with you?
So the best way for people to reach out is they can reach out directly they can find me on Facebook at JeannieSpiro. That's my Facebook page. If they want to learn more about the program, they can go right to talkandprofit.com to learn more about me directly. I'm at JeannieSpiro.com, and they can learn more about what I offer and the programs. And I've been writing a blog for over 6 years, and so I'm always offering pretty high value in even my blog posts. So people say, gosh, this is just like a course I'm taking just in a post. So if you want to get started in just learning how, one of the things that I also recommend is my free guide. It's called the Speaking Guide to Closing Any Room. And that is also available at JeannieSpiro.com/speaking guide. So that's a free gift.
So it's SPIRO, correct?
That's right.
Okay. All right. And I'll put that over in the live chat area. Jeannie, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. You're just so wonderful. I love that you're succinct, but you give some, and as well as give great content. I want to thank all of our guests for being here today. And just even with the technology challenges we had at the beginning, I'm so glad we were able to do it today. Just fabulous information. Thank you very much.
Me too, Heidi. Thank you so much. I'm loving getting to know you better, and this is great. I appreciate it. My pleasure.
Thank you all for being with us on the Entrepreneur Show. My name is Heidi Richards Mooney, and you can find me at wecai.org or HeidiRichards.com. Jeannie, take care and have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.